Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our Child Nutrition Weekly webinar. My name is Colleen Fillmore, and I am the Idaho State Department of Education Child Nutrition Director. On this webinar is the entire staff of CNP to answer any questions you have in running child nutrition programs. For those of you that have been participating on this webinar, you know that a couple of weeks ago we had some connectivity problems. And last week, we were really happy the webinar went super well, and we're hopeful that the connectivity is again good this week. However, if we do lose connection completely, we will reschedule it. So our agenda today includes the following. I will give a short update from USDA. Then Jessica will review the questions that were submitted ahead of time. Then we're going to have Heather talk about the ART grant and the latest of what is going on there. Then we're going to go through some summer food training with Marianne, Dominique, and Sean. After that, we're going to do some NSLP renewal process information with Linda and the rest of the NSLP team. And after that, we're going to start on the questions and giving you answers of the questions that are being submitted during this webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. The latest clarification that we got from USDA was they released a COVID-19 question and answer, which provides additional clarification on providing multiple meals for several days at a time. And if you would like to opt in to this for providing multiple meals, you will need to send to the state agency a COVID-19 Congregate Feeding Waiver Request Form addendum. So addendum is the key word there. This addendum has been sent to your child nutrition program contact person via a broadcast email, but we also have it on the governor's website. So if you look at your screen, you can see that I'm kind of putting my mouse over where the addendum is at. It's the second one down under the Idaho Waiver Request Forms for sponsors. So I mentioned that Q&As came out earlier, and that is where the clarification is coming with US. And so we, excuse me, we had some of, let me scroll down here a little bit. You'll see the SP13 and SP14 that were just recently put on the governor's website under Q&As and broadcast emails. These also were sent to everyone via the broadcast, but if somebody did not get those broadcast emails, they can, of course, always go to the governor's website to get the information. So we are hopeful that some will take advantage of being able to do this addendum. We've already had some sponsors that have opted in for this, so if you have any questions, please let us know. So I am now going to let Jessica have the screen so she can, or Jessica, do you want to take it over because on your end?
I got it. Thank you, Colleen. Good morning, everyone. It looks like we only had 2 questions come in through our questionnaire form. The first one that we received is the CARES Act authorization authorizes an additional $8.8 billion for child nutrition programs to cover COVID-19 associated costs available through September 30th, 2021. Is any of this money available at the district level to cover costs? And we are currently waiting for additional guidance and will inform sponsors as soon as we get any additional information. The second question that we received, can you talk about changes that will take place to feeding children once the national public health emergency is lifted? Who is responsible for lifting this emergency, the president or governor? Would our only feeding option be to start regular summer food service or seamless summer options, including congregate feeding, defined feeding sites where food cannot leave, etc.? Or do you anticipate some waivers will remain? How much notice do you think we will have to make the changes? I realize you may not know the exact answers to these questions, but anything you can provide will help as we look forward to this transition period and plan ways to minimize the impact on families. These are all excellent questions, and once we receive additional guidance, we will let you know. So I am going to give the controls over to Heather now.
Good morning, everyone. So I am happy to announce that we have an opportunity for you all to consider. Idaho was actually in the process of selecting an online free and reduced app, and we're happy to announce we just awarded a contract with Nutrilink Technologies that will provide access to all the school districts in Idaho. So while processing applications may be the furthest thing from your mind at this current moment, I wanted to let you know that the Idaho Child Nutrition Program has a grant for the next 2 years to pay for any Idaho district that is interested in setting up an account with Nutrilink Technologies to provide an online free and reduced app to families in your district. As you can see in this flyer, the time to set up an account is minimal, while the time and effort you save in processing applications is tremendous. Online applications allow you to set parameters to hold applications for review or automatically approve them and transfer that eligibility status straight into your point of service software. It's available to families 24/7, and you never even have to touch a paper application to process benefits. During this season where money and time is tight, we're hoping that you'll let us take a load off your shoulders and pay for this service on behalf of your food service program and the families you serve. There's a sign-up link in the flyer that will allow you to tell us you're interested, and that will complete a request to be connected with Nutrilink to set up an account. So if anyone has questions about that, feel free to type it into the chat box. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and hand the presentation over to the summer food team with Mary Ann.
And Heather, this is Colleen. I also wanted to mention, and maybe you already mentioned this, that this is provided as a handout in this webinar if they want to pull that down and get that link.
Thank you for that reminder. Yes, this is one of the handouts. It will also be sent out as a broadcast email, and we're hopeful to get it on our website. So definitely you'll be hearing more about this opportunity in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Heather.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mary Ann Leiby. I wanted to briefly share with you guys that we have uploaded all of our training materials on the CNP training portal, and it is ready for all the sponsors to view. As you guys can see on my screen, to access the PowerPoint training presentation, you would have to sign into your CNP training portal and sign up to the events and courses. As you guys have read through our broadcast emails, for the sponsors who signed up for the all-day training, please ensure to review the online 2020 SFSP 101 training. And for those who signed up for the half-day training, please review the online 2020 SFSP refresher training. In addition to these PowerPoint presentations, we have also required for all sponsors to complete the 5 online training through the CNP training portal. And as you guys will see, section of the CNP portal, you will see the food safety training, the monitoring training requirements. Online courses are available for you to complete. On the second page over here, you guys also will see through the CNP training portal, we have uploaded all of the materials and documents we would normally provide to you through a thumb drive. We have uploaded them through this online portal as well. And all of those documents are available under this section here called 2020 SFSP training documents. And so documents like daily meal count forms, policy memos that, again, you would normally get through the thumb drive, are all available through this online platform. We know that this is such a crazy time, and so we are very glad that we were able to still complete this requirement for all of our SFSB sponsors to do the training through this online course. And so if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to contact me or Dominique, and we will help you guys right away. Thank you so much. That's all I have. As Heather said, if you guys have any further questions specifically for this section of the presentation, please ensure to indicate that on the question tab of this webinar. So with that, I will turn it over to Linda for the NSLP information.
So this is Colleen. As Mary Ann is transferring the screen over to Linda, I just wanted to do a positive shout out for the summer food team. Mary Ann, Dominique, and Sean have been doing a lot of work to make the training as bare bones as possible during this really busy and stressful time. So to make it as easy for you as possible. So I just wanted to make mention of that. So thank you.
Thanks, Colleen.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about something that is on some minds and not other people's minds, and that's renewal for next year. So we've discovered that all sponsors have to have their 1920 Seamless Summer or Summer Food application submitted and approved in My Idaho CNP prior to us being able to transition to the 2021 application. Otherwise, we throw a wrench into the people who haven't yet submitted their application for Seamless and Summer Food. So in order to make the process as smooth as possible, renewal is going to be pushed back with a projected open date of May 11th. The state agency again this year will submit a statewide press release in August for all SFAs who participate in non-provision programs. The SFA will need to upload a copy of the statewide press release into their application attachment list. For SFAs who operate Provision 2 or CEP, households must receive a provision-specific notification. The state agency will provide the provision program notification, which can be found in download form section of My Idaho CNP closer to renewal time, and these specific notifications must be uploaded. Now, for this year only, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the state agency has decided to deactivate the non-program food revenue tool renewal checklist requirement. Sponsors having an AR during 2021 will still be required to complete the non-program food revenue tool as a requirement of the review. During recently conducted ARs, the state agencies discovered that sponsors are reporting they do not sell food when in fact they do, requiring the non-program food revenue tool to be completed in 2 weeks as corrective action in order to close the review. SFAs who sell food such as cookies, rolls for a Thanksgiving fundraiser, board meeting meals, food for PTA fundraisers, etc., must count those revenue-generating sales as non-program food revenue. And question 15 in each site application must be answered yes. Well, as a reminder, if you wish to opt in for the new online free and reduced application system Heather spoke about at the beginning of this webinar, you'll need to answer the sponsor eligibility questions just a little differently during renewal. Sorry. So 33 are free and reduced price school meal applications approved using a computer software program. You'd answer that yes if you opt into this system. And does the sponsor utilize a web-based free and reduced price school meal application? You'd answer that one yes. So please watch for detailed instructions regarding renewal this year to be sent via email closer to when we're opening them up in the middle of May. If you have any questions, please submit them now, and we will hand this over to Colleen.
Okay, hey Linda, thank you so much. And I just want to ditto again another positive shout out to the NSLP team. They have been, well, several people in our office, as you know, have been processing waivers and all sorts of things, but at the same time, they've been working on the renewal process and lots of other things going on. So why don't we go ahead and get started with the questions. And the first one is, will there be a waiver for the second required health inspection? Most of the district kitchens are shut down for the rest of the year. And TJ, did you want to take that one? She might be on mute.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead.
Colleen, sorry about the delay. It took me a minute to unmute myself. So we were working on, I'm sorry, which question were we working on? I was answering some others.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, it was the one that you answered on the second health inspection.
Okay. Yes, thank you for the question. A lot of this information is sort of moving targets, and at this time, the state agency hasn't received any information regarding requirements being waived for the health inspection. However, we do know that many of the kitchens are still operating and preparing foods. So unless we hear otherwise, I would assume that you would need to have that second health inspection. But if we learn anything, we'll certainly communicate as quickly as possible. Thank you, Colleen.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you, TJ. Okay, so the next one is probably a Heather one. It says, I would be interested in receiving information on Nutrilink. I clicked on the link on the handout, and I am not sure it is working. So Heather?
Yeah, so the handout that is available in the panel for the webinar, if you download that and click the link there, it should work. From that, if you were clicking it on the screen as I was demonstrating it, just the view screen, you were really looking at my screen. So trying to click on that might cause some problems. We will double, triple check that that link is live before we send it out via broadcast email. And really what it's going to do is take you to a Microsoft form that just asks for your district information, basic information about who is interested in setting up an account, and then also who the specific point of contact is going to be for Nutrilink. So Nutrilink, once we get that information from those of you completing that form, we will send it on to Nutrilink, and they'll set up a discovery call to provide services specific to your needs in your district. So the link will be live when it comes out via email and is posted on our website. But thank you so much for your interest and for letting us know there might be some glitches with that.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are very excited that you have an interest in that. We think it's going to be, we do believe it's a very good grant and very timely with everything going on, since through this grant we can pay for that. Okay, so the next question, do we need to do summer food training if we are not doing regular summer program? And Marianne, you want to take that one?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. That is a great question. And our answer is, if you are not conducting the regular SFSP operations during the summer months, you do not need to complete the SFSP training. The operations right now under the unanticipated school closure, there is no training requirements. And so again, if you are not conducting the regular SFSP operations during the summer months, you do not need to complete the SFSP training. Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you, Marianne. Okay, Heather, this next one is for you. Will the state meal processing software communicate with our current point of service software program?
Yeah, so the online free and reduced app that's coming through Nutrilink, they have a product that's been on the market for quite some time. So they've already developed integrations with existing point of service software. depending on what point of service software you're running, they may have a really simple solution that it simply transfers the data from their online app to your point of service software, or there may be a little bit more technical need depending on what is happening. Just to be clear, this online app is still beneficial for people who don't operate an electronic point of service. It doesn't have the same seamless integration and that automatic transfer of data, but it will still allow you to automatically approve applications and collect more applications from families who may not apply if they didn't have access to an online app. So something to be thinking of. It's definitely a benefit for all.
Very good, Heather. Thank you so much. Next question, just returned to work March 1st through 17th claims have not been done. This includes NSLP breakfast and lunch, fresh fruit, vegetable, after school snack. What is the timeline on this? And Melissa, do you want to answer this? Or it looks like TJ's already done a good job answering it too. So either one of you. Melissa, you want to take it?
TJ, if you're seeing the question, I'm not seeing the question, so if you can see it, TJ, can you go ahead and take that one?
Sure, I'm happy to. Basically, you do have 60 days to submit your claims for any programs that you're offering or participating in. So it sounded like based on your timelines for March 1st through the 17th, there should be no issues with submitting those claims. But if you have any questions, I did provide Melissa's direct email address so that you can submit any questions directly to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, TJ. Okay, the next one, I am running a seamless summer for the first time. Do I need to do a summer food 2020 training, or will there be a seamless summer training? And Marianne?
Yeah, so if you are running the SSO right now, you do not need to complete the SFSP 2020 training, the PowerPoint presentations that I just went over. However, if for any reason we do continue under COVID-19 through the summer months, we would put a training together for SSO sponsors. But we do encourage the sponsors who are doing the seamless summer option, if and when we transition to the summer months under COVID-19, we would encourage them to do the summer feeding program since they do receive a higher reimbursement, and we would be more than happy to talk more about that. And so if that is the situation, then you would need to complete the SFSP 2020 training. And I hope that made sense, but if you have any questions, again, please feel free to give the state agency a call. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah, thanks, Marianne. I think the next question is asking the same thing. I will go ahead and read it out loud, so I don't want anyone to think we are, skipping their question. But Marianne, if you have anything else to add, it says, if we are operating under seamless, should we be taking the summer food training that you just went through? So I believe you've answered that, have you not?
Yes, I believe I did. Thanks, Colleen.
Okay, very good. Okay, next one, Heather. Heather, the link is asking for a sign-in. My normal sign-in isn't working. And so Heather, I think you probably answered that too, but anything else you want to share there?
Yeah, actually that really helps to clarify, because it tells me that the settings when I set up the form was not quite right. So I am fixing that as we speak. And when we send it out via broadcast email, that will be corrected. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to determine that when I set it up for the handout for today's. So the handout in this webinar will have a link that's not going to work, unfortunately, but the one that goes out via email will be corrected, and the one that's on our website will be corrected. So thank you for clarifying that. That helps, and it will be fixed.
Thanks. Okay, the next one's a comment. It says, yay to the NFRT info. So thank you for that comment. Next one, Heather, for you. Heather, I know you told us, but can you review again how to sign in for the online processing. And I think maybe you've answered that too, that you're going to get a new link for them. Anything else you wanted?
Yeah, the new link will allow you, and if you don't mind, I can share my screen just so people know what they should be seeing so they can determine if it's working correctly for them.
Absolutely. Let me I'll give you the screen right now, Heather.
Okay. Let me make sure I have the right application up. So hang on. We have the, sorry everyone, it's behind my question bar. Okay, so the link should take you to a form that says Idaho Online Application Request Form. And just a quick walkthrough, it's going to ask for the district name, district address, food service director's name, email address, person to contact. So if the person who processes applications in your district is different than the food service director, that's who you'll list here. They'll need an email address, a phone number, and then they're going to ask, or we're asking, what is the process, the current process in place for approving free and reduced apps? So you could say manual processing, you could say integrate with some electronic point of service. If you are operating an electronic point of service, you'll enter that here. When you hit submit, that will come to the state agency. So myself, Heather, or Sean Charters in our office will collect this on a weekly basis and send it over to Nutralink so that they can get in touch with you and continue the process of setting up an account. So you'll fill out this form to tell us you're interested. That's step number one. If you contact Nutralink and we don't know about it, we really want to be sure that we're paying for your account. So this is how we're collecting that information. And then once you fill this in, Nutralink will contact you, set up a call, and once they set up that call, they'll address all the individual questions of, do you have a specific point of service software? Do you not? How do you want the data to come in? Is there anything that needs to be installed in your software? So do keep in mind, at some point in the process, you'll want to touch base with your district IT personnel because they will need to know that the software, even though it's cloud-based and shouldn't really need anything heavy-duty installed in your district, you'll want to make sure that your local level IT person is knowledgeable and available for conversations if that comes up with Nutralink. So this is the form that will be in the email that we send out, and it will be the correct link. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that the default setting only allowed people in our office to access this form. So that's what it'll look like, and thank you all so much for testing it and your enthusiasm to get it up and running. We're excited to do this project with you, and I hope it has a successful launch. So thanks all.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Okay, next question. We were instructed by our health inspector that if our kitchen continued to stay closed, he would do a dry inspection of that site as it had already been paid for. So that's good information to have. So thank you for sharing that. We do know that each health department in different regions handles things a little bit differently, but that is very good to know. So next question, Dominique, have you heard anything regarding health inspection reimbursement being allowed under summer during the COVID meal service? Previously asked and going to check on, just checking back in, thanks.
Hi, thank you, Colleen. And this is a great question. In the summer food service program, sponsors are eligible to receive a reimbursement for any health inspection that occurs during the summer food program operations. I will send this question to Western Region because we do not know at this point if these reimbursements will be allowed under the COVID-19 unanticipated school closure operation. As soon as I receive a response from Western Region, I will let all the sponsors know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. Okay, next question. Please explain USDA meal service times flexibility. The waiver states if you do not plan to serve more than 1 day's worth of meals to children at one time, this form is not needed. Marianne, you want to get that one?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. So regarding the USDA meal service times flexibility, we had received this Q&A and more clarification on it over the weekend. And this flexibility allows for sponsors who would like to do multiple days of meal service in 1 day without conducting the home delivery flexibility form. And what I mean by that is, let's say for an example, if a sponsor would like to serve Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays meals on Monday, then they're able to do that under this flexibility form. As Colleen mentioned earlier, we did create the addendum form for sponsors to fill out if they would like to opt in for under this waiver. So again, please check out the broadcast email or the Idaho, the governor's website for the forms to fill out. And if you would like to serve multiple days of service in one day, please ensure to submit that form to the state agency. Thanks, Colleen.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Marianne. Okay, next question. If we are running the summer food program on bus routes and also a curbside pickup, where can we use the fresh fruit and vegetable funds? All distribution or just at the curbside that is at the school that the grant was received for? And let me see. Jen, you want to take that one?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. So this question may be unique to each school around the state, so I am happy to talk to people about their exact circumstance so that we can have the best answer to fit their situation. However, generally, and regarding this specific question, the funds really need to be tied to the school that was awarded the grant. Therefore, if that school is running a curbside pickup, that should be where the fresh fruit and vegetables should be distributed from. It can be, because right now everyone's running open site, so assuming that is an open site, that fresh fruit and vegetable can be provided to any child who comes to that awarded school site to pick up the fresh fruit and vegetable, regardless of if they were previously enrolled in that school or if they're a high school student. So that right there can also limit some distribution possibilities. So do keep that in mind and do your best to just tie it to the awarded school site. But again, I'm happy to talk to you about specific situations as we got a lot of K-12 schools out there too who answers change depending on how their situations are. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, next question. Linda, we'll give this to you. If we were scheduled for a review this year, are you rescheduling this?
A great question. We're not going to be rescheduling this year. Your NSLP coordinator will contact you about completing the review either online by having you upload like the free and reduced applications and your verification file, or we will have to reschedule the review for next year if you cannot upload the required information. So you might get a pass, so to speak, on having us there, but you still have the work to do.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay, if next question, Marianne, I'll give this to you. If we will be continuing summer feeding after June 30th, would we just need to change the date in the summer food application?
Thanks, Colleen. And yes, that is correct. If a sponsor is continuing into the summer month operation of SFSP, sponsors can just change the dates of the site applications. They will be operating under the summer month operation past June 30th. Thanks, Colleen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Jen, this one is for you. Regarding fresh fruit and vegetable, we did get some information indicating that we can use funds to provide fresh fruit and vegetable during the COVID. Is there any waiver that would allow parent pickup of fresh fruit and vegetable? I'm thinking of ease. Pack the meal so that things move quickly. It would be simpler to have fresh fruit and veggie products in the lunch bag. I know that it can't be part of the reimbursable meal, but if we could hand them out together, it would be so much easier.
Yes, definitely understandable. I'm thrilled that we did get some approval to go ahead and continue some operation with fresh fruit and vegetables, so that's the good news. Unfortunately, there are some strings with that, including parents are not allowed to take that fresh fruit and vegetable offering on behalf of that child. So I think good points are raised on just the convenience with that. I've talked to several people around the state who are just kind of having a separate pot with their fresh fruit and vegetable and handing that directly to the child. There's some positive stories along with that. It makes the child feel a little special, but definitely you're going to have to monitor that, and I can appreciate that it makes things a little more complex to not be able to just hand over one thing directly to a parent.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Okay, TJ, we're going to give this next one to you. We are starting not being able to get to components that we have ordered from our suppliers. We often don't know until they deliver our food that we are not receiving those items. Oh, I'm sorry, just a second. My computer just kind of, that we're not receiving those items ordered. Do we have to fill out all waiver request forms for meal pattern flexibility when we need to add another food component that we are not unable to get? I was hoping to send in one form just in case we are not able to get the food component. So TJ, you want to take that one?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. This is a great question, and it's come up quite a bit for us. The issue with a preemptive waiver is that the state agency can't presume that there are going to be problems. However, we have heard that there are pockets of areas where supplies are becoming constricted. And so the recommendation is, as you have an issue, if you know for a fact that a supplier is not able to get you certain products, please submit that waiver request form, and then keep us informed about continuing problems. Do keep in mind that there are other options for foods, and we're highly encouraging to assess all your inventory options. Don't just be relying on one supplier. At this time, procurement requirements are open to one supply source, and there is still USDA foods that can be incorporated into the meal plan. Thank you.
Thank you, PJ. Okay, the next few questions look like they might be Heather's. So the first one is, I already use an online app. Do you recommend we change to Nutrilink or just stay with what we are already using?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. And we do not want to cause any more work for districts that are already using an online application. However, we are more than willing to pay for any district that would like to take this opportunity to transition to the Nutrilink product. We have had many, many different people participate in the review process to select Nutrilink, so we feel really good about the quality of the product, and the folks that reviewed it were local level IT directors, food service directors at the local level, people at the state agency level, both child nutrition and IT, and then we even had input from National Office USDA. Their Office of Program Integrity was interested in this project. So before we signed the contract with Nutrilink, they actually added additional features to their online application to better match the USDA prototype and add clarity for families filling out the application to ensure that they are accurately reporting their income. So at this point, Nutrilink is actually the only product on the market that so closely aligns to USDA's prototype. So there's definitely high quality product and benefit to that, but we are not mandating this. It is not something that people have to participate in, definitely a local level decision. So we are happy to pay for it, but it's completely up to you. And it looks like the next question is related to Nutrilink as well, so I can go ahead and take that, Colleen, if you're all right with that.
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead and take the next two. I think maybe both of those are for you.
Okay. So will Nutrilink online application have a customer support line that is available? And the answer to that is yes. They will both provide online training. It'll be a webinar online setup training, and then the ongoing training for technical support. They have a support team that will be available for you. And then the next question is, after 2 years, will the school district have to pay for the Nutrilink program, and how much is it? And so due to the nature of the grant funding that we're using to pay for it, we can only guarantee funding for the next 2 years. And so that would include the initial setup, which is typically the barrier to entry. The most expensive is going to be that setup, and then the ongoing licensing is the continual cost that the district would want to consider. So if you set it up in the first year this year, we will pay for your setup and your licensing next year. If you don't set it up till a year from now, and we're in the last year of the grant, we'll only pay for the setup, but not the ongoing licensing. We are very cognizant of not wanting to burden local level districts with additional costs beyond what they already pay for. So we will very much be investigating alternate funding sources. We just can't promise anything beyond the next 2 years. And ongoing cost, I will need to look that up. I don't have that number off the top of my head, and I don't want to misspeak. And we will definitely make that available in the email that I send out to districts, and that'll go to everybody, so you'll all have the same information to work from.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, next question. TJ will give this to you. So you could hand out Saturday and Sunday meals along with Friday meals if the waiver was approved by the state agency.
Yeah, so let's clarify that we are talking about the congregate feeding waiver addendum, and that does need to be submitted and sent to the state agency. And just to circle back around, this was new guidance that was received, as Marianne, I believe, mentioned earlier. We just received guidance that multiple meals could be served and they could include those weekend meals. So make sure you submit the addendum. We'll get that approved, and then you can serve those meals accordingly.
Thank you,
Colleen.
TJ. Yeah, thank you. And I do want to kind of just reiterate that at the beginning of this webinar, we showed the ST 13 and 14 that's on the governor's website, and that is where a lot of that information is at too, along with the addendum. Okay, so the next question, my district is moving to bus routes next week. Do I need to change my application? Mary?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. If a sponsor would like to add bus route system to conduct meal service, please ensure to submit a new attachment A form, excuse me, listing your bus stops. If you are running multiple bus stops within different bus routes, please ensure to indicate what bus route each bus stops are under. Additionally, please ensure to complete the form with all the addresses, including zip codes, on attachment A. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah, thanks, Marianne. And the next question looks like maybe it was the same one. Maybe it just kind of got put in twice. So we will go to the next one. Do we upload the state application into Nutralink, or will it be uploaded into it already? Heather, you want to take that one?
Yeah, that is an excellent question, because we do have a state application that we send out. That is the paper copy that we tell everyone this is what you need to print and hand out to your families. So when you use an online application, it is very different. It will collect all the same information, but it's actually going to walk them through using an interview style to where they really have to think about how they're answering each of the different data points that the paper app would collect. And it's a lot more intuitive process. So for anyone that has filed their taxes using TurboTax software, it's that mentality where you break up the form into really clear, do you have this sort of income listed here? Have you worked in the military? Yes or no? So it's a guided interview process that allows the family who's responding to really understand better what the application is asking. So you will not need to upload the state application into Nutralink, and it will look very different.
Okay, and Heather, I think the next one is for you too, but you maybe have answered that. But is there anything else that says after the 2 years, will there be a yearly cost to Nutralink? But I believe you've answered that one already.
I did, and I can't provide a specific number at this point. We do have it, I just need to look it up. And I wanted to confirm that the benefit and the time and effort of processing this application is that additionally getting the first 2 years for free for anybody who's on the fence about, free to the district because we'll be paying for it, on the fence about considering it. The cost savings in operating these programs from a time and effort perspective is really incalculable, because if you have 100 applications that you have to manually process, and you're reading every application, and you're calling the family for clarification, and you're spending hours and hours and hours at the beginning of the school district, what this software does is it will actually make sure that that family completes the application with all the information needed to process it, and in many cases, automatically approve it. So you have hundreds of applications processed in seconds. It is actually a click of a button versus trying to interpret everybody's handwritten information, calling the family for information. So should we not be able to find ongoing funding beyond the 2 years of this grant, I really think that the software will pay for itself in the savings from time and effort that food service directors and those processing your applications will no longer have to be burdened with.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Okay, Marianne will give this next one to you. So I need to put every address where the bus is stopping, ?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. Yes, you would need, sponsors would need to put every addresses where the bus stop is stopping. And the reason for this is each bus stop is considered a meal site because that is when you're conducting your point of meal service. And so you would need to indicate each bus stop's locations or addresses on attachment A.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Dominique will give you this next one. Related to the nationwide waiver to allow meal service time flexibility in C&P, would this allow for county meals that were distributed outside the meal distribution time frame listed in our application?
Okay, thank you for this. The nationwide waiver for meal flexibility, essentially, this is what allowed sponsors to be able to serve breakfast and lunch at one setting. Meal service times will fluctuate during this COVID-19, as you see which sites have higher participation, but you do need to keep your meal service sites updated in your sponsor application packet, and realizing that the meal service flexibility has a lot to do with food safety. So just make sure you are following proper food safety guidelines and that your meal service times are within those food safety guidelines as per your local health, your health district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dominique. Okay, Heather, this one's for you. Can you do paper applications as well for those that don't have internet access?
Yes, and the answer is absolutely. The online application can be used in conjunction with paper applications for districts where that option is needed for families that are either more comfortable with paper applications or lack internet or computer services needed to access an online application.
Perfect. And I love all these questions. We're so excited to see interest in this. Okay, next question, TJ, we'll give this to you. Can we revisit the weekend meals? Can you give meals on Friday for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? TJ?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. So yes, the multiple days of meal service are allowed under the newly received guidance from USDA. However, keep in mind that you must submit the congregate waiver request form addendum for approval to the state agency prior to serving multiple meals, which can include those weekend meals. And I know for some this is different than you'd heard in the past, and that's why we're visiting it today, because this was newly received guidance. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, TJ. And TJ is spot on. I mean, this is something different from what you've heard, and we are continuing to get updated guidance and clarification from USDA, and this is certainly one of those situations of several. At this point, we don't have any other questions. We do have a few minutes. Let me see. Oh, I did just get another question. Can weekend meals be served uncooked? So who would like to take that one?
Hi, Colleen. I'm happy to take that one. This is TJ. Thank you. We need to make sure that everyone is fully aware that food safety falls under the auspices of food service. So we have had some school districts indicate that they're concerned about meals going to families that may not have the ability to cook or store meals. So that is something that needs to be considered. How that is taken care of within each community is really up to food service. But following food safety guidelines, uncooked foods. So if you were considering using some of your USDA foods, would certainly be allow families in food safe fashion, and it's likely that you may need to provide some cooking instructions. So this might take some creativity on the side of food service, but we have talked to school districts that are utilizing these methods for getting meals out to their community. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, TJ. And I do want to add to what TJ said that last week TJ did an excellent explanation of this very topic. So you can go back and listen to last week's webinar if you would like. Also, in the SP 13 and 14 that we shared at the beginning of this webinar is a great Q&A on this very topic that has lots of different bullet points from USDA. So hopefully those two things will help you with resources in this area. At this time, we don't have any other questions. Jen, did you want to take a few minutes and talk about fresh fruit and vegetable? Is there anything else that you would like to add? There's been some really good questions on this webinar, so I'm not sure if you have anything else more to add beyond what you've already shared.
For sure, I'm happy to. I would like to just call out that we did get those Q&As from USDA, so there has been some clarification that does allow serving fresh fruit and vegetable during COVID-19, but there are some limitations to that, and I feel like everybody is dealing with unique situations, and I am happy to talk through the best way to move forward with using those grant funds for the rest of this school year. However, I am also happy to announce that we have released the grant application for next school year's fresh fruit and vegetable program. That is available on our website. You can access it either through the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable web page for the Idaho Department of Education. It's also a hot topic just on the general CNP page, which both of those links will take you to the grant page for the State Department of Education. The application is like it was last year. It is a two-part, so there's instructions to help walk through it. It's a OneDrive form that you complete online. It's very similar to last year's. And also there's the requirement to have those signatures. That is the part 2 of the application. We've added some flexibilities that those signatures can occur electronically. That form does not have to be printed and have a hand signature from all 4 required individuals. I'm happy to receive each one of those separate with either a hard signature or an electronic signature, whatever works best with your district, or however you can do it in the midst of this pandemic. Again, please reach out to me with questions. The only other thing is just the due date is May 8th. We have a lot of other things coming down the pike with the online application and renewal. And so just wanted to try to be timely with that. And I will just throw out a reminder in there, because I know as soon as these applications get submitted, I get a lot of questions of when will people be awarded. I generally do not hear from USDA about the dollar amount that we have to divvy out until July. So it again will be probably in that crunch and perhaps even more delayed in light of this COVID-19. But do know that we work our best on trying to get those awarded as soon as we possibly can. I do see another question come in though. Our school is not 50% free and reduced. Should I apply for the fresh fruit and vegetable? And unfortunately, the grant does require that an elementary school, grades 1 through 6, meets a 50% threshold of free and reduced. So if you're not meeting that, you won't qualify for the grant. And so I imagine you have better ways to spend your time right now than applying for a grant you don't qualify for. I will say that we're going to use, we've always used the March eligibility data, so we will be doing that and reaching out to schools that we know do qualify. However, if you already are aware of that, please go ahead and start the application if you're interested in operating it next year. Oh, we have another question. If we are unable to use fresh fruit and vegetable funds this year, will it impact next year's funding? No, the pots of money are very separate. So what doesn't get used this year stays in the hands of USDA, and they will, they determine what they're going to allow us to have for the next school year. And like I said, I get that a little later, but unspent money stays with USDA.
Yeah, great questions. Okay, so we have just a few minutes left. Doesn't look like we have any more questions. Oh, yeah, we do. Just one second. Where do I submit the congregate feeding waiver for after submitting my claim? Let me read that again. Where do I submit the congregate feeding waiver for after submitting my claim? I'm not sure I actually understand that question. So is anybody else have any input on that?
Colleen, this is Mary Ann. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mary Ann.
Hi, everyone. This is Mary Ann. So for the congregate feeding waiver Excel sheet, please submit that to the CNP team member who approved your congregate feeding waiver from a month ago or the past few weeks. It seems so long ago. We require that congregate feeding waiver Excel sheet to be submitted to us because we do have to submit that report back to USDA to differentiate between meals served under the COVID-19 operation versus meals served under the normal, quote unquote, regular summer feeding operations, if and when we transition that into that this summer. So again, please submit that form to the person who approved your original congregate feeding waiver form. Thanks,
okay,
Colleen.
Great. Thank you, Mary Ann. Yes, and Melissa, did you have anything else that you would want to add there?
Nope, she said what I
Okay.
would say.
Okay, perfect. Okay, next question, give to TJ. I need the extent of the COVID-19 feeding waiver request form date. Do I redo the entire waiver or just the attachment A?
Thank you for that question, and thank you, Colleen. At this time, we're not asking, we know that you guys are doing a lot of work to just maintain meals, and because this waiver allows meal service through June 30th, although our team has not conferred on this, what I would recommend is simply send us an email and just let us know, because we are tracking this information, and so we don't want you to have to submit all new documentation just to extend the date. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, TJ. We're really trying to make it as easy as possible with all of these forms and waivers and everything going on. Okay, next question. Dominique, this is for you. If I am a non-area eligible school and I have less than 50% free and reduced and was given permission to run the seamless due to COVID-19, will I be allowed to apply to do the summer food during the summertime?
Thank you, Colleen. This is a great question, and this is one that will probably be coming up for many sponsors. Currently, program operators that have been able to operate in non-area eligible sites, that is, the sites less than 50% free or reduced, have been granted permission through a waiver to provide meals in these areas. The waivers are scheduled to expire on June 30th. We have to wait and see on whether this will be extended or not, because sponsors that are not eligible and wish to continue to serve meals after June 30th will not be operating under this waiver, and will have, so there are a few different scenarios, but in general, during summer food, all of the sites where meals are served must be located in an area eligible location, meaning the children attending that school or using other data is 50% or more for your reduced children. So we really have to wait to see how long these waivers extend if they do extend past June 30th and take it on a case-by-case basis, but we're happy to work with sponsors to try and get as many able to operate during the summer.
Okay, and hopefully we're not losing connectivity. I'm not sure if I'm the only one. Dominique's voice is kind of coming in and out. We have one last question because we've actually have run out of time. Where is the waiver addendum for feeding on Friday for Saturday and Sunday? TJ, you want to take that one?
Yes, thank you, Colleen. So the waiver addendum that we were discussing was shown on the the governor's website. So we have that in multiple locations. It's also available on this particular webinar under the handouts. And then finally, we also sent it out in a broadcast email. So you should be able to find that in multiple locations. If you have any problems, send us an email and we're happy to send it to you directly. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have run out of time. Just as a friendly reminder, all of these webinars can be found on the governor's website under webinars. It takes us a day or two to get it to be ADA compliant. And then we also take all of the questions and answers and we add them into our Q&A on the governor's website also. So we want to thank you again for all of your hard work. We know how hard everyone is working. Our door, or I guess I should say our email and phone is always open. And so please let us know how we can help you. Thank you, everyone. And this is the close of this webinar this week.